Your Excellency, Mr. Peter, distinguished guests, beloved faculty and staff, proud parents, and the stars of the show, the class of 2021. 11 years ago, I was sitting in your place. I was part of the graduating class of 2010, the first graduating class of King's Academy. I remember that I could not wait to get it over with. For you, it might be different. You are eager to see each other and be on campus after so much time away. I must confess that standing here and addressing you today makes me super uncomfortable. When Mr. Peter called me and asked me to speak at Commencement, I was honored and excited, but I must admit that my heart did a couple of backflips. The reason I am standing here today is that it makes me uncomfortable. Being uncomfortable makes me stronger, leads me to unexpected adventures, and it's the only way I grow and learn. I'd like to share 3 experiences from my life to tell you exactly what I mean. First, I want to share a very personal story from my time at King's to give you context. I joined King's as a sophomore when the school opened its doors in 2007. I came from an all-girls school in Saudi Arabia and suddenly found myself in an co-educational school where everyone seemed to know one another. Moving schools is always a very difficult experience. I was not used to sharing my thoughts and opinions or having class discussions. I was a quiet thinker, shy and reserved, the ultimate introvert. Like Muhammad Radithia before his 10th grade declamation. And yes, I've seen it on YouTube. You're a star, Radithia. I will never forget my 10th grade English literature class. I was the only girl in a class of 12 loud boys. Sorry, boys. I rarely said a word in class. We had to submit weekly journal entries, and I always scored very highly on those and got excellent feedback. One day, my teacher, Mr. John Palmer, asked me to stay behind for a bit. He was curious why I was not participating in class, even though my journals were always super well done. He said, "Look at me. Do not let those loud boys scare you." I remember the first time I spoke up in class. I was so uncomfortable, but I felt something I wasn't used to before. I felt powerful. Believe it or not, but I can still hear Mr. Jean's words buzzing in my ears when I am in any situation dominated by loud or alpha males. Whether it's a board of directors meeting or my 2 very large brothers arguing over whether to eat fried chicken or burgers for dinner. Even the small act of speaking up, it's uncomfortable, but it can change who you are. My first lesson in becoming uncomfortable and learning that I grow from it was from my sophomore English class at King's. The second experience I'd like to share is about my work after university. After King's, I went to study economics at Royal Holloway in the UK. I was the first King's alum to graduate from university. When I graduated, His Excellency, Mr. Karim Qawar, who was the chairman of the board here at King's Academy at the time, reached out and asked to meet me. I shared with His Excellency stories about my social entrepreneurship work at university. He saw the passion in my eyes and recommended that I look into Oasis 500, Jordan's first technology accelerator and investor. I started my career in 2013, working with Oasis 500. I fell into it by accident. I was actually so tech illiterate, I didn't know what to do if my Microsoft PowerPoint froze. I also did not know anything about the Jordanian ecosystem we had about the entrepreneurship ecosystem we had in Jordan. The Jordanian tech ecosystem has been rapidly evolving. Startups in Jordan are now able to attract top talent, raise 7-figure plus rounds, and contribute positively to the Jordanian economy. In 2019, during the World Economic Forum, 27 Jordanian startups were chosen from the top 100 Arab startups shaping the fourth industrial revolution, a digital revolution. Jordanian startups were represented more than any other country by far. In the last 8 years, I've watched our startup ecosystem flourish into what it is today. It's been quite a ride. And I remember the moment that I knew this was exactly the career for me. I joined Oasis 500 as an intern for 3 months. 1 month into it, I walked into my manager's office and I told her this is exactly where I want to be. My job was centered around deal flow generation, which means meeting entrepreneurs for potential investment consideration. I had to push myself to meet those entrepreneurs in different settings and learn how to ask the hard questions. It made me uncomfortable to ask these questions, and I loved that. It gave me the drive and kept me going. I can tell you I am a very different person today than I was when I started my career. Now I can ask the hard questions, like Sara Anabtawi, who's writing in the Rexonian, goes straight to the heart of the issues. Keep it up, Sara. Learning to ask the hard, uncomfortable questions was like learning to speak up in class. It did not come naturally to me. It took conscious effort, but it made me stronger. In my career, chasing the uncomfortable allowed me to be part of the coolest journeys I've ever experienced. After 2 years at Oasis 500, I felt I was getting too comfortable. Again, I left and I worked with Silicon Badia for 3.5 years. I was one of the lucky students of the late Emil Khobaisi. Emil was a titan, one of the godfathers of venture capital in Jordan and the region. Emil challenged me. He was an uncompromising perfectionist. He often put me in situations I was not sure I could handle because he believed in me. He challenged me to be uncomfortable. I remember I once jokingly told him that working with him drives me up a wall sometimes. I cannot begin to express how much he shaped who I am today. I really grew as a professional under his mentorship and guidance. And here's another free piece of advice for you. Find yourself a great mentor. Put yourself out there. Build relationships with people that might intimidate you. Ask for guidance. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. And watch them become the wind beneath your wings. I left Silicon Badia in 2018 and soon after became the CEO of Adam Tech Ventures, a venture fund created by the founders of Mawdu.com. So now, for the past 8 years, I have worked in the venture capital industry, an industry dominated by males. But through a lot of hard work and dedication, I am fortunate enough to be one of the very few women leading an investment fund in the MENA region today. Discovering entrepreneurship and growing in the field required, just like in high school, speaking up when I wasn't comfortable, asking the hard questions, trying new and unknown things, putting myself in places where I would be challenged. And this was my second experience of learning from discomfort. And for my third experience, I want to talk about entrepreneurship more generally and how it relates to King's Academy and Jordan. Some of you, like Abdurrahman Rabata, Ammar Hamad, and Rima Zubaydi, may know me from the Entrepreneurship Co-Curricular, a program that I was invited to lead this year. But many of you, or all of you, may be wondering what entrepreneurship is and what it means to be in the business of venture capital. Entrepreneurship is about creative problem solving. It's about seeing opportunities where others do not. Entrepreneurship is hard but rewarding. It's a wild roller coaster ride. And venture capital is the business of investing in entrepreneurs. The best way to become an entrepreneur is to identify opportunities, talk to people, listen to people, test ideas, and get feedback. And that can be uncomfortable. It requires being relentless and persistent, not giving up, and not letting anything stop you or come in your way. Never take no for an answer if it's something that you believe in. That's the ultimate manifestation of being uncomfortable. And you may fail. In fact, you are likely to fail. 75% of startups fail. It's okay. You will learn and become much stronger. My brother is a huge boxing fan, and he's taught me a Mike Tyson quote that I think translates well into entrepreneurship. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. This is uncomfortable. Making something out of nothing, creating opportunities, being an entrepreneur requires comfort with discomfort. However, the reward can also be very high. The reward can be financial, but the reward can also be about solving problems, creating solutions, and opportunities. And this is the part of entrepreneurship that King's Academy is about. And this is where I'd like to close. King's Academy was founded by His Majesty as a school that will drive change in Jordan, the region, and the world. King's is all about developing and empowering young leaders who will push progress towards a shared future of peace and opportunity. The mission is important now more than ever. Lasting peace and opportunity will be made by problem solvers, innovators, and entrepreneurs who can build and rebuild, who recognize opportunity and bring it to life. At this particular time, with what's happening in Palestine, we look to our alumni for examples of those who are finding opportunities. Look at entrepreneurs like Yasmin Mjalli, King's Academy class of 2014, founder of Noel Collective, which she calls a political fashion collective based out of Palestine. Noel Collective manufactures apparel and accessories with small, family-run businesses and women's cooperatives across the West Bank and Gaza. This is entrepreneurship in action, creative problem solving that also helps build. So, in the spirit of His Majesty's vision, you too carry with you the great responsibility not only of representing Jordan and our region, but of giving back to it. You are called to drive change towards peace and opportunity. One way to do this is through entrepreneurship. There are other ways too, and I'm sure your King's Academy education has given you the tools to do this well. For me, it was through the growth of choosing to be uncomfortable. Speaking up in class when I was quiet, discovering a new industry, asking the hard questions, and helping entrepreneurs do the hard work of creating and scaling something new. As graduates of King's Academy, you have bright futures ahead of you, and you have the huge support system and network in the alumni. Spread your wings and fly, and when you are ready, come back and plant seeds of impact in Jordan, in your countries, and in the region. Be proud of yourself, and remember, chin up, always. I'll end with this. Choose your uncomfortable, because that will allow you to grow and flourish and reach all that your heart desires. Thank you, and good luck.